Welcome to Matchmaker Matchmaker. I'm Aliza Ben Shalom, your host and your guide to finding a love that lasts. You might know me from Jewish matchmaking on Netflix. However, I am so passionate about this topic that you don't just get a TV show, you get a book and a podcast as well. Here's the thing, not everyone is a matchmaker, but everyone can make a match. Whether it's finding love for yourself or helping two souls to connect, we're all a part of something bigger. Each week, we'll dive deep into stories, advice, and some real matchmaking magic. Let's take this journey together, and who knows, you might just find the spark that you've been looking for. Hi, I am so excited to be here with you guys because I am here with the most special guests in the entire world. I'm here with my in-laws who have been married almost 63 years, and we almost had the same wedding anniversary date. And I'm telling a story. So first of all, let me make an introduction. It's Fran and Sid Schwartz from Philadelphia. Say hello.
Hello. Hooray. Hi.
So when Gershon and I were dating, you guys said like, oh, our anniversary is December 30th. And we said, oh, my parents' wedding anniversary, it's December 30th. Ah, wouldn't it be amazing if you also had December 30th as your wedding anniversary? And the truth is, it would have been amazing. And I'm so sorry that we didn't do that. We were looking to get married like now. So we ended up getting married October 13th, which is Zayin Cheshvan on the Hebrew calendar, which is just a few months before. But I think that we, how people like renew their vows. So I think that we should have a renewal of our vows for December 30th, and we should celebrate as a family anniversary day.
Let's do it.
Can we do that?
Okay,
We can
yes.
do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll make it a family
We can do
anniversary
it.
day.
But you have to come to us.
Yeah, you got it. Maybe not this year, but
Okay.
we'll
All right.
coordinate. So I want to introduce all of our listeners to you because you have been married almost 63 years and only 2% of marriages actually last over 60 years, which is, it means that you are in an unbelievably unique and rare statistic. And I want to be able to share with everybody a little bit about what it is to find the love of your life and how to keep them. I have a book that's coming out, or that by this point, when we announce it, it will be out right now. Matchmaker, Matchmaker, Find Me a Love That Lasts. And you have clearly done that and been an inspiration for me, for us, for our family, but I'd like it to be an inspiration for the world. So I have a whole bunch of questions here so that we can get to know you a little bit more. Let's start with, how have you enjoyed being married? I know that might be a loaded question.
And who first? You first this time.
It's been very enjoyable because I think Fran takes care of me, and hopefully I take care of her the same way. So it's been a very easy sharing 62 years, 11 and a half months. It's been easy and it's been enjoyable. Are there some rocky roads along the way? Sure, but they're minor and they go away immediately.
Well, I think maybe you have a rosy picture. My memory tells me that maybe the first 10 years, at least for me, were not so easy. I had to find my voice, and it took me a while to do that, and I did that. And the last 50, pretty good. Pretty good. What about you? Now that I said that.
Yeah, I didn't know that you didn't have a voice for 10 years because it sounded to me like you did. But I think it's gotten easier every year as opposed to harder. It's been really easy. Certainly the last 25, 30, 40 years, it's been easy.
Are you sure you're married to me?
Yes.
Okay.
In the beginning,
Sure?
when I guess we're both strong people, each one has to put their oar in the water to take command. And we were doing that for quite a while. But I think we've resolved to where we stand pretty well now.
That's because you learned to say yes, dear.
Yes, dear.
Okay.
Is that the best dating and marriage advice? Just learn to say yes, dear.
Or what's the other one? As you wish.
As you wish. No, I would say that we more anticipate the other's requirements and wants, and it gets done when somebody thinks it should be done. You don't have to say yes, dear, because it's done.
I like as you wish also because it doesn't mean I agree with you. It doesn't mean I like what you're saying. It just means as you wish, like go ahead. It's almost like I don't really approve, but I don't really have a choice because we're married. And
Right.
as you
Like,
wish. But this is what it's going to be. We have ups, we have downs.
like,
And
like, as would you take out the garbage? What's the response?
Yes, dear.
Or as you wish.
As you wish. It doesn't matter. You don't
Doesn't always work that way.
First of all,
doesn't work.
You don't have to ask me to take the garbage.
That's
I know
true.
that's my
That's
job and
true.
it gets done.
That's very true. Yes, that's true. We each have our own things that we know that we are responsible for,
Right.
if that's the right word. And you learn along the way of who's better at doing what job and what task, and you fall into sort of a routine.
Pattern, yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay. What do you admire most about each other?
Well, I married one of the most talented people I've ever met. Fran plays the piano.
She doesn't just play the piano. She's a concert pianist who has performed around the world.
And she can do musicology on her feet very easily. And 2 years ago, she decided to take up painting, never having painted, and she paints wonderfully. So she's a very talented, artistic person. But her background included being mathematically adroit. So she is a well-rounded person, and that's what I like about her. She can do anything that she wants to do, and that's fine by me.
You sure about that?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Did
you hear that, Elisa?
Not only did I hear
Anything
it,
she wants to do.
It's all recorded, so we have it. You can use this going forward.
All right, I'm looking
you
forward to that.
More
You're
often.
right. You're right. Absolutely.
But I never second guess you anymore. Ever.
No, that's true. I think that is quite true. What's the question? What do I admire? What Sid is loyal. He is protective. He is strong-willed, which sometimes a little tricky. But he is kind and he's generous and predictable. And
you like predictable?
Yes, and always punctual.
To a fault.
To a fault. To a fault. We're always there ahead of time.
I know.
Yes, yes.
You call when you call when you're 2 minutes late, and I don't consider 2 minutes late. I just consider 2 minutes late on time.
No, we're usually
early.
5 minutes early.
Correct.
That's true. As today, right? We were about 15 minutes early. That's right. Right. But I know I can depend on him. He's kind and he's smart and funny. I think that was the first thing that I was attracted to, was your sense of humor.
Probably.
Could be.
Yeah. How did you first meet? Were you set up?
We were.
Blind date. I had a classmate at school, and Fran had a sorority sister at school who had met the summer before on a trip. And they set us up on our first date, which was a Halloween night. I would say what I've always said for the last 60 years. She came in on her broom.
To meet my Prince Charming, right?
Yes. The witch came in as a witch on a broom.
Right. To meet my Prince Charming. And we did dress that way.
Yes.
For many Halloweens.
Oh, and you were dressed as Prince Charming?
He was dressed, and I was dressed as a witch.
Yeah.
You've probably seen the photos. Right. Yeah. We carried through.
It was pretty easy for us to get dressed that way. I'm easy to be a Prince Charming, and you're easy to be a witch.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And they're still married.
Right.
So,
did you hear the sense of humor?
Yes, right,
okay.
right.
Thank you.
There's the humor. That's the part that you love. Okay, so somebody set you up, and was it love at first sight? Did you know this was the one, or when did you know that this was the one?
Definitely not. No, definitely not. It took a long time.
We were both young to begin with, but we weren't really looking for the long haul at that time.
How old were you?
What do you mean? I was. Oh. I was 22 years old. Back in those days, that was old already. Your parents. My mother had an elderly aunt, and when she called my mother's aunt, my great aunt, to tell her that we were engaged, she said, "Oh, thanks be to God." She thought I was going to be an old maid at 22. So, no, in the beginning, we dated, but sporadically.
and not exclusive.
And then we stopped dating, and we second time around. Tell Lisa. You may not have heard this story. Tell her the story of how we started to date again the second time around.
We had mutual friends at school at the Penn, and they decided to have dinner. And they invited us amongst others. So there were probably 10, 12 people that arrived.
But
and
they decided that they wanted us to be together.
Right.
They arranged it.
So when we arrived at the restaurant, everybody sat down. We were ready to order, and the other 10 people left and left us alone because they wanted us to make it happen.
So you're at a big table of 10 with just the two of you.
That's
Everybody
right.
deserted
They all
you.
just
left.
on signal. They all
On
got
signal,
up
they
and
all
they
got up
walked
and
out
left.
and left us there.
That's
Yeah.
hysterical.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning. So you dated it. It didn't continue necessarily, and then they decided.
I don't even remember. We just didn't date as much, or maybe I got the Friday night dates and not the Saturday night dates. You know,
Oh.
Saturday was the date night,
Oh,
so I would know that maybe I had a Saturday night date this week, but I wouldn't get it next week. There were other women.
oh. See, now I didn't know. Now I just learned something. I didn't know. Friday night was the casual night, and Saturday night was the
more
I
important.
think you're
Right.
more important night.
Right. So it would be
Oh,
maybe
this is
every other week.
fascinating.
Very different.
And you were only
60.
going out. And you were only going out once a week.
Oh, sure. We
Oh,
were
no.
both in school. We
Right,
were
busy
studying.
all week, and you either
Right.
got a Friday or Saturday night
That's
date.
right.
Right.
That's
And not
right.
every week.
That's right. No, not every week. I mean, I don't even remember how long or why we didn't date as much, but after they set us up that time at the restaurant.
Right.
Then we
And did you
started
know
dating.
after the second time?
I don't even remember. I took a while. Still, we started to date in October, Halloween, and we didn't get engaged for another year and a half.
Right. That's correct.
That's
was a
because
year
you
and a
didn't
half.
get the Saturday night dates.
That maybe, who knows? Right, not fast like you.
Right.
Right.
Right. Our dating was very different. We
Right.
started to date in June. We started to date we got engaged in June. When did we start to date? 3 weeks before that.
Something.
We started
like
to
that.
date in the end of May. 3 weeks later, we got engaged in June. And 4 months later, we got married in October.
That's right.
Right. And we couldn't wait until December so that we could have the same anniversary. We also didn't want snow. Just to be fair, we were dreaming of this outdoor wedding that would be beautiful, which we didn't have,
Right.
but that we would have better weather, and we were nervous about December 30th being.
You could have waited till the following spring.
Oh gosh,
I don't think
no.
so.
Oh,
I don't
No,
think so.
why should we even worry about bad weather? Did we have bad weather the night before we were married?
We did. We had no choice.
Right.
We
I,
could only get married because
I was home from the Army.
that
you
was
had to
it.
leave, and he was in the Army, so we had to wait for him to have
A leave.
A leave for 2 weeks. They granted you leave so we could go on a honeymoon. So
But
we
we-
got married right smack in the middle of the winter.
Right after an ice storm. As a matter of fact, we
Oh
went-
well, if you watched Netflix, they would know. They watched.
Oh, they have to know in Jewish matchmaking on Netflix that you're in episode 7, right at the beginning, right like this, sitting on a
Yes.
couch, telling a little bit of your story.
Right. And it had snowed.
walking to the synagogue. You slipped on the ice, and I managed to fall right on top of you.
That's right.
That's exactly what happened.
And you fell for me.
I fell for you. No, you fell for me.
Right. I think that was the shtick we used on
Yes.
on the
Netflix.
Netflix. Right.
It wasn't until that time that you fell for each other.
That's right.
It took a while. It sounds like this was not like
It wasn't. You
falling
know,
in love
there's
or
there's
romance.
a saying: hate him till you date him.
Date him till
Date
you
'em
hate
till-
him.
Oh, sorry. Date him till you hate him.
You can also hate him till you date him.
Right. And no, I mean we got
There was no-
along,
there
but there was nothing
We weren't ready.
electric. We weren't. We were young. We
Right.
were young.
But going from nothing electric to, I'll pick you. How did that happen?
Well, we could say how we got engaged.
You can say it.
I was leaving the Army, actually another couple days. So I said to Fran, well, while I'm gone, you're not going to be dating at all.
You have to remember, part of the story is that I was going off to summer camp for 8 weeks, and there was going to be a young man there that I had dated the summer before.
True.
You're going to be a counselor
I
at
was
an
going to
at
be
a
a
summer camp.
group leader
Oh,
at a
group
summer
leader.
camp, and there was somebody there.
He was a little
and
concerned.
he was concerned. So he said to me,
You're not going to date while I'm gone.
and I said, "Why not?"
And what did I say? Because we're going to get married. And that's how I popped the question. Literally.
He didn't ask the question. He told me.
He
and
just
I,
said, because
and that was
we're going
it.
to get married.
And that was it. And that was on the couch of my college roommate's parents' house in the Bronx.
Right. And she takes credit for that.
She takes credit to this day. She takes credit for it was on my parents' couch.
And that's where you got engaged.
That's
and then he,
if you call, is that engaged? He
well,
said, "All right,
apparently, well, because we're going to
getting
get married. But you didn't disagree.
I did not
No.
disagree.
Right.
I was ready at that point.
So then he ships off.
Correct.
Now you're engaged, but you don't know that you're really engaged. What happens next?
Oh, we were engaged.
We were.
Your parents
I
started
was
making
committed.
arrangements.
Yes, but I went in to meet you. I had not met your parents yet.
Did you give her a ring? You just told her you're going to get
No.
engaged.
He left.
How could I give her a ring? I didn't have any money. I was in school in the Army. I had no money. So,
I went in by myself. Do you remember that?
yes.
I went in to meet his parents. I went by train into New York to meet your parents, and I stayed with them. And what did your mother say? You want me to say it or you say it?
You can say it is nicer.
All right. So we took to each other, right? Just like you and I have this wonderful relationship. And his mother and I, Annette and I, had a wonderful relationship, right from the start. And she took my hand and she said, "My older son's wife has a diamond ring, and you should have a ring." And she took me by the hand and she took me to her jeweler on 47th Street in New York, and she bought me a ring.
So the story is, Fran was first engaged to my mother before me.
engaged to my mother-in-law, and I sent him a picture
Saying,
of the
"Look,
ring.
look, I got-
Nice ring too.
I got
Nice ring.
engaged."
And we continue to have a wonderful relationship too.
I love
did.
that. I love that story. This is like the assumed proposal, right? Because clearly,
That was-
because
No,
we're going to be
that was-
married.
by then, it was a done deal.
It
Yeah.
was. And my parents immediately started to think
Right.
about a wedding.
I had known Fran's parents because they were Philadelphians and I was in Philadelphia.
Right.
So they immediately started working on getting their daughter married.
In marriage, how important is a person's or family's background?
Very important.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people say, look at your in-laws to be before you marry. No, I would say it was important because we wanted to make sure that the value system was there and that Fran was part of a value system that I wanted. And we knew that immediately.
What's the value system?
Well, what do we say? We both suffer from having been from very
Dysfunctional family.
Not
Functional family.
very functional. We both came from very happy,
Functional.
functional families. And yes, I think that you can't always choose someone that has that background.
Right.
But if you can, I think it's certainly a help. I came from a very low-key, quiet female family.
I came from a much louder all-male family, so there was some difference there, but the value system was the same.
Can you describe the value system?
I would say, well, and as Fran mentioned, they took to Fran immediately, and Fran took to them. I had already known Fran's parents. I had seen them a dozen times by the time we were engaged, and it was easy to see that they were good people, and Fran was a production of good people. Yes, she was.
Well, I think that the background that you come from influences how you can meld into a marriage. It
So-
can't always work that way.
Right.
I spoke with someone yesterday at an event where you presented, and a woman that I know well came up and she said, "You were really lucky." She said, because I won't mention names. His mother didn't like me, and my mother didn't like him,
Right. It makes it
and
very
it
difficult.
made it very, very difficult.
Right. Instead of in-laws, you have outlaws.
Exactly.
That's the
exactly.
joke. That's not
and
really
she
so
said
funny.
it took until they started to have children for that to work out.
Yeah, we were fine from the very beginning.
That's right.
And even ongoing, and you can tell the story about
Which story?
when we had a minor spout.
Right.
How does
Right.
that go, dear?
Well, and may I say that it involves you a bit? Because no,
I don't know. What's the story?
um, your wonderful husband Gershon was a very strong-willed child.
He and
We'll
I are
leave it
similar.
that.
Yeah, he and I
You're
are
vo-
similar
you're
that way.
both that way. And one time, and it was after your father had passed.
Oh, yeah, my mother
Your
was a
mother
widow.
was a widow, and she was visiting us, and we must have had a spat. I think over something with Kenny
Minor.
Gershon. Minor, just a minor thing. And she witnessed this, and she came over to me and she took a hold of my hand and she said, "Don't you worry, honey. If anything ever happens to you, to us, I'll come live with you."
It's a
That's
fact.
how
And
much
that
she
is
loved you.
that is a true story.
It's a
So-
testament to the
yeah,
relationship.
yeah, exactly. So you can come live with us.
I can come live with. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, what is the secret to a long marriage, healthy marriage, happy
There's
marriage?
no secret. Is there a
No,
secret?
there's never a secret. Also, not only that, I don't like surprises, either good or bad. So we shelter each other from surprises.
And the interesting thing is that I love surprises.
Of the
So
good
my
kind.
my husband and I don't, not that I like making surprises, but he doesn't like surprises, so he must take after you. And I'm okay with surprises, but I also like to surprise people. So
exactly. So I don't remember what anniversary it was.
I know what you're going to say.
Right? Sid was born on his parents' 5th anniversary. And
wow.
maybe it was I think it was your 30th birthday
Maybe
and my in-laws' 35th
anniversary.
anniversary. And I planned for Saturday night a surprise party for Sid, for Dad, and a surprise brunch anniversary party for his parents the next
Wow.
morning.
But they didn't know.
Did you know about your parents'
No,
party?
no.
No, you didn't.
No,
They
no.
were visiting for the weekend for his birthday from New York. And we pulled off the surprise for
me,
you.
I was surprised for
Saturday
my
night.
birthday.
I had all the food at a neighbor's house in their refrigerator, and we pulled that off. But his parents didn't know that the next day
Was a
we were
brunch.
having a surprise brunch for them.
Wow.
You knew that after
Only
your-
after my-
only
that
after
night.
your party.
Right.
So I have given surprises, and then what did you say to me? You've said to me over the years, "Don't ever surprise me again. Don't ever do that."
That's it. Don't ever
Did
do
I
it
ever
again.
do it again? I don't know. I don't think
I don't like to be caught off guard. That's my makeup. I've got to know ahead of time. No quoting, no
Well,
getting
that's-
caught off guard.
That's you. That's you. So I planned my own 80th birthday party, right?
Oh, he
Yeah.
doesn't just like not planning surprises. He doesn't like planning parties either.
No,
You're
For
the
no.
other
party
people,
planner.
right? So I've planned a number of my own parties.
But
We had a big
I
party for my 80th
but I
at
attend them.
synagogue.
But I do attend
Oh,
them.
of course, you attend. He attends. He does attend. And even for my 85th, which just happened in April, we were having a concert at our community. And so I planned after that for myself. We had a dessert reception for everybody that came to the concert, which was probably 50 people of our neighbors and friends. So if nobody's doing it for me, I do it for myself. That's all.
I think that's good marriage advice also. I think that people who are married sometimes expect that the other person should know what you want. They should almost be a mind reader. They should do exactly what you want. And I think that either they
And-
will or won't know, and then if not, so
you
plan
do
it
it
yourself.
So how about flowers? Without mentioning names, we were one time 10 years ago in a supermarket, and somebody that you know was there with a bunch of flowers. It was Friday afternoon, and he said, "Oh, I bring my wife flowers every Shabbat." And Sid said, "Why did we have to bump into him?" So it doesn't bother me. I go out and buy my own flowers. That's all.
So
Well, you like flowers a lot more than I do.
Well,
around the house.
most women
yeah.
do. But I would say that's a woman's thing more than a man's thing.
So when we were married in the early days, Gershon brought flowers. He must have heard from this person, this mutual friend, to bring your wife flowers for Shabbat. And I must have been pregnant with one of the kids. And the flowers, after they sit there for a little too long, then they get a little moldy and they start to smell a little off. And my sense of smell normally is excellent. And when pregnant is beyond excellent. And the moldy, dying flowers were bothering me. So I said to him, please, could you, throw the flowers out? So he did. He put them in the trash. And I was like, no, please, could you take the trash out, right? By the end, I'm crying. You have to wash the vase with soap and I can't do it. You have to take the trash out. He's never brought me flowers since. I was a basket.
He made a mistake.
I was a mess.
I
but that's
think
not true. He has bought me flowers since, but it's not a regular thing for us.
I think you learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, and if you're a competent person, you do what you have to do for yourself, and as do you.
And my strength is not flowers.
No, that's certainly true.
I think taking out the garbage every day or every week is better than flowers every week.
You know what? I
right?
attest to that. Absolutely. I can go to Trader Joe's and get my own flowers. But better I don't have to take out the trash and decide what goes into recycle and what goes into the trash, the garbage, right? You're good.
It's my job.
That's his job, yeah.
Any other advice for people who are married, who are looking to grow a marriage, maintain a marriage, heal a marriage, are going through something either that they're struggling with or that are not at this, I would call you guys, like somewhere over the rainbow, right? Like you're at a beautiful place where you've come together over the years and built a relationship that lasts. It works. It seems you're in sync. You seem to be able to move together and move through life gracefully because you've practiced it for so many years. How can a younger couple, we're at 22 years. We have couples that are only at 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. How can they get to this place?
The one point I would make is that you really have to listen. Now, Fran listens very well. And she does. Because my hearing is not so great, I don't hear as well. But I try to listen. And listening, I think is a good part of making things work well.
And you have to be honest. I can't imagine any couple, other than my parents, never having any arguments or spats. I never heard a raised voice in the entire time. Now, I only lived at home until I was a junior in college. But I never heard a raised voice. That's not really normal, I don't think.
No, it's not.
It's not. And that was because my father's background enabled him to always give in. And I don't know that that's even good. I don't think
you said
that one
peace at any price.
Peace
that was
my
him.
father's, yes, that was his motto, peace at any price. Yesteryear was a joke, but he would give in. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, right.
And
give in on the small stuff.
Are you saying that?
Yeah,
you're saying that?
Not on the real big stuff. Don't give in until you really work it out.
And when you have two personalities that are strong, it's not always easy.
Right.
And that's why I said I had to find my voice in those first 10 years because I had a voice as a teenager, as a college student, as president of my sorority. I was competent, but I came from this background, peace at any price. And so if we would have it, if I'm wrong, say it. If he would say, well, where should we go out to dinner? And I would say, well, I'm really in the mood for Chinese food. And you would say, Italian, right?
Yeah.
Say Italian. We would have Italian. The next week, if
true.
it would come back and he would say, I'm really in the mood for Chinese food, I'd say, oh, no, I could go for Italian. We would have Chinese food because it was so much easier. Yes?
That's true.
It is true.
Did I know I was doing that?
No, probably not. And I didn't assert myself at that point. It was easier to follow in my father's path and just give in. And then one day I woke up and I said, wait a minute, this isn't me.
Right.
This is somebody else.
I want Italian.
Right, exactly. And I think it took a while.
Yes.
And then
I let my
And so the last 50
No.
years.
Right, right.
Well,
What do you
no.
usually say? What do you usually say? I hate it. What do you say?
The first 10 years were wonderful. The last 50,
I've heard that before. I've heard that
I
too
would
many
say,
times.
and I forgot exactly my line of thought, but I would say that it's not as important to me to have Chinese food or Italian food anymore because if it pleases Fran, I'm more in tune to what pleases Fran today.
As you wish.
As you wish.
Okay, so I just figured it out. The first 10 years, it's going to be rough. The next 30 years, we're going to be okay. But after 40 years, then the Italian or the Chinese food, it doesn't matter.
That's
So
right.
you just got to hang in till at least you've been married 40 years. And we're only at 22. So I'm going to hang in till 40 when it doesn't matter.
I hope so. We won't be
We're
here.
counting on it.
We won't be here. But.
Yeah, between us, it's usually like sushi, hamburgers, sushi, or burger night.
Right. But if the boys have a vote, then it's burgers. Right.
Or schnitzel.
Right.
And
right.
if it's Ima's take, then it's sushi.
Right.
Right. Well,
But you learn after a while, don't sweat the small stuff.
Right.
You know, it's not worth it.
So I'm going to take you back. Now we have daters that are dating in 2024. We're going into 2025. We're in a whole new world. It's many years after you've been dating. And if you had to give some advice or wisdom to people that are looking for somebody, the qualities, the values, personalities, what is it that somebody should be looking for so that they can choose the right person so that they can get to 60 years and a happily ever after?
Well, I would say that if you talk about personality, which I include, means having a sense of comedy,
Not comedy, humor.
of humor.
Comedy is like that.
That too. Humor, at least a level of intelligence, and look for those things up front pretty easily. I would say that in our case, we had most of the things matched pretty well, pretty fast. I'm very.
But it wasn't very obvious.
No, well.
It wasn't like an immediate spark, even with humor, intelligence.
Well, remember when you're young, we don't worry about the spark. But as we got older, the spark.
What do you mean? Of course, you worry when you're young for the spark.
I think they go for the spark.
I think they go
when they're
right.
Young than worry about the important
I
things.
went for the good-looking.
Oh,
personality.
Nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that I never put a list together of what I would like to see in the woman of my dreams, but it came out pretty easily when I saw what Fran had to offer. Yeah, I like that. She's very bright, very talented, artistic, and a compliment. I'm very good with my hands. Fran is good with her hands on a piano. I'm good with my hands with tools. So I do the tool work, and Fran does the sophisticated work.
That's sort of
No,
corny.
ho hum.
Yeah.
But we compliment each other everywhere. We really do. We never have a squabble as to who should do what to whom. You do the cooking, but I have no problem cleaning up. I do refrigerator, put away, and
right.
clear the table.
And you get in a pattern after a while, and you know who's better at doing which job or which task, and hopefully, young couples can fall into that pattern. Who does what better?
Or even share, like for instance, we have friends our age where the male does not know where the washing machine is. And I do my wash, Fran does hers, and we do joint stuff together, sheets, towels.
Like we just did your sheets and towels today. Eliza slept over last night, so night before.
So we know, call it a division of labor. It works pretty easily with us. It was decided many years ago when we followed along with that quite a ways.
And in today's world, here you are, you're traveling, you're going everywhere.
Yeah.
And our son, who we never would have predicted in a million years would have been
a house
husband or a father that's staying home. So roles change. And in today's world, when we were dating, when we got married, there were roles established. A woman did this and a man did that. That's very different today.
Right.
It's hard for us sometimes to picture that. Hard for us to picture Kenny Gershon, as a house husband, house father. And yet he's
He's
adapted to it, and he's
first of
doing
all,
it.
he's a phenomenal cook.
But he always
Right.
was a good cook.
Right.
So, and he loves to shop. So he'll go shopping, he'll get everything. That's his activity now for learning Hebrew. He goes to all the stores and he learns everything and talks to people. We have Google Translate. He brings everything home. It's when he cooks dinner, it's a gourmet dinner. And in Israel, the big meal is lunch.
Yeah.
So everybody the kids come home from school and they have kind of like the siesta. They have a big lunch, and then dinner is just dinner. You grab a quick snack. We have, like you guys had, because you raised him like this, we have a proper dinner. And I was raised like this as well. We have a family
That's
dinner.
right.
You make a meal. You have a vegetable and a starch and a protein. You sit down together. First, you set the table. You sit together. You eat together. You clean up. And then the rest of the day can go, or the rest of the night can go on. But we actually have a family meal together. And in terms of something that I think that makes a marriage last and a relationship last, I think having family dinner together and having a family meal is one of the most important things.
But
We never had, in my household, we never had dinner where it wasn't the four of us, my brother and my parents. Every dinner, I can't think
as
of
in
one.
as in ours as well.
I can't think of one now. Schedules are different. Schedules were quite different in those days. Everybody knew what the schedule was. Today, there's different schedules.
That's right. My father came home from the subway from work, and he walked down the street every day at 6 o'clock. He walked in. But at that time, and even in our time, the woman was the one that made the dinner,
Right.
and then the family sat down.
Right.
So it's changed roles
It's changed
now.
tremendously.
It's very changed. So you can't really, for us to give advice on based on what we did for today's young people.
It's not
is
about what you did.
difficult.
I think it's what you've learned and what you see the compatibilities are. And so for us, even though I'm not the one that's making the dinner, he's the one that's making the dinner, but a family dinner
Yes,
is still
absolutely.
something that
And-
we do. And it was a value that we both had that, to be quite honest, even when we were dating 22 years ago, it wasn't common. Not everybody had sat down to have family dinners. We had a joke in our house, what's for dinner? And my mom would say, a big salad, because we always started with a big salad because she was still figuring out what was going to be for dinner, whether it was going to be chicken or meatloaf or hamburgers, whatever it was going to be. But she always knew we started with a big salad. And my dad was working and he was a traveling salesman, and we would wait for him to get home. So we never ate dinner at the same time. And it was always either 6:30, 7:30, whenever he could get home.
And how different.
But we waited. And we had
waited.
family dinner.
Right.
And we set the table. And
Yeah.
somebody was in charge of setup and somebody was in charge of cleanup. Like, we had our roles and responsibilities. And I think that was something
And
that we
ours
both
was
grew
that
up
way.
with.
I never knew when you were coming home. I can remember when the boys were small.
Waiting at the window.
At our first home. And he would call and say, I'm going to be a little later or whatever. And they would be playing down in the den, and I would be sitting by the picture window in the living room watching for you. When is he going to get here? When is he coming so we can have dinner together? No, I think that's a very, very good advice.
But I was thinking about division of labor. When it came time for our boys to do homework, I handled the math and science, and you handled English, grammar, history. It worked out very well.
I wish that every relationship was this neat and clean and organized, and that everybody had such a clear division of labor, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think that if we're going to hone in on one of your key successes for a long-term relationship, it is figuring out who you are, what you do best, who is your partner, what they do best, and how do those things interact, and who should be doing what. Because some people feel that if you're not good at it, you should do it so you can get better. You know what? You don't have to. Just let the other person do it. You do what you're good at. They'll do what they're good at. And nobody has to get better at all the things that they're not good at. We have each other to build that relationship together and count on each other. It doesn't have to be so difficult. We don't have to be fighting an uphill battle. It sounds like you created a path where it was, downhill. It was easy. Like, there was momentum that was gained over the years.
It wasn't always easy.
There were some bumps in the road, but it was easy as far as division of labor, who does what,
Yes.
timeliness, what to expect from the spouse.
Mm-hmm.
There were no surprises that we gave each other.
That's because you don't like surprises.
No, but I'm talking about not birthdays and holidays. I'm talking about Fran knew what to expect from me for anything. And I think I felt the same way from Fran.
Usually.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about things to get done.
No, in that respect, yes, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Okay. I have thoroughly enjoyed this interview and having you. I hope that for our listeners that this is an inspiration of what a long-term, I like to say healthy marriage looks like. We know that it'll also be happy too.
So we should make it to 63.
Amen. Please God, and many more years together.
And now that you've done this, we have to do something for our other son and his wife. We have to give them the same kind of lessons.
What?
No, we're going to send them this. They'll have
Okay.
it.
All right. All right.
We'll send them the recording.
They're only married 20 years.
Yeah, we're
So-
22. We got married
Right,
first.
Right, right.
But please God, we should spend many more happy, healthy years together and
Yes.
to enjoy each other at a distance and up close as well. And I thank you for my lifetime with you and for all of the lessons that I've learned. It has been a tremendous blessing.
And how fortunate we are to have two wonderful daughters-in-law.
Yeah.
We are very fortunate in that respect.
and thank you for
Yes.
raising such a fantastic son.
Thank you. Two.
Yes, both. I only know one really well.
Right,
The other one I know
right.
less.
Okay, all
But
right.
yes,
No.
two fantastic sons. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I love you.
Love you too.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to check the show notes and visit elizabenshaloom.com for coaching, matchmaking, and everything else that we offer. And join the Jewish matchmaking movement. If you've learned something, please share this episode with one of your friends.